Hi, Dr. Dan here, and I guide students to be smart about higher education and live a life that matters. Now today we're going to start the first video of a 5-part series on core values. And the title of this video is going to be Purposeful Engagement and the Prize of a Growth Mindset. So a lot of fancy words there, but purposeful engagement is one of the things. Like if we're going to work together, this is something that I will request. If someone doesn't want to be purposefully engaged, that means focused and given their effort, their full effort to things, then it's probably not a good fit for us to work together, because I'm going to ask and demand of you your full effort. You need to put forth a full effort for your sake, not for my sake, but for your sake. So purposefully engaged people get rewarded. So rewards and awards, they've been since, I think, since men started doing or competing or doing anything of value. So we'll just start our mark with the Olympics. In the 8th century, they started giving a wreath. No gold medals back then, but just a wreath. It was like a flowery thing. And so it wasn't of this high, great value as far as monetarily goes, but it was filled with intrinsic value, of meaning and symbolic of winning the race. And that's what most awards are like, that they have a lot more value than just their actual value. So the gold medal is gold, and it's worth a lot of money, but it's not nearly worth what it is to that athlete. So another award would have been academic degrees were being recognized and awarded in the 13th century. So people that would put the hard work in, they would get their bachelor's, their master's, their PhDs, and those came at different times, but we just generally say the 13th century. And another prize would be, a lot of people have heard of, is the Nobel Prize, and that started in 1901. So there's all these prizes out there, and the problem is that I think awards and rewards have been kind of diluted, and the lines have been grayed in the past, probably decade or two, where we're giving graduation ceremonies and big bashes and parties for graduating kindergarten. Now, I love reinforcing kids and giving them encouragement and that kind of stuff, but a big major graduation party for that to happen, and I'll probably get some, people, moms, riding me on and saying, "Hey, you got to afford them," and I understand that you want to reward them, but how big the deal goes makes a big difference. But another thing would be, we're giving trophies for showing up. A Pittsburgh Steeler, James Harrison, got criticized a while back, probably last year, I think. His sons came home with a trophy, and they didn't win anything. They didn't win the games. They didn't win a championship. And he said, "Give those trophies back. They're not worth anything." And I kind of agree with that. It sends a false sense of character development, that, well, you can just show up and that'll be okay. There's no difference between mediocrity and excellence. There's no difference between putting forth your maximum effort and somebody just kind of cruising along. So winning the prize requires effort and character. There's a lot of character building in there. I quoted another video with a coach who said, Adolf Rupp, he said, "No one falls on top of the mountain. They worked hard to get up there. They worked hard to climb that mountain, to summit that mountain." So there's a tension between this effort and our accomplishment. So let's talk about that. We talked about that growth mindset. So Carol Dweck, who has studied these concepts extensively, she's not the first to study this, but she kind of quantified it in such a way that it kind of makes a lot of sense, where she was saying how there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Fixed means that you were born with this innate ability, and I believe we are to a degree, but you were born with your IQ, so that if you get that IQ test between the ages of 5 and 12, you're kind of destined to have that for the rest of your life, and that's your IQ, and that's it. And I don't agree with that. I think that you can learn, you can become an expert in your field and get passionate about something and really put some effort into things and increase your IQ. You can increase your ability. You can do a lot more things than you think you can. So a fixed mindset means that failure is because you're just not capable. And so there's a shift that goes into a growth mindset. A growth mindset says that if you fail, you are just going as part of the process. And you can break this down into learning goals and performance goals. And those go hand in hand. A performance goal is like, say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Boom. I either know I lost 20 or I didn't. Okay, I can use the scales. But a learning goal would be more to the effect of, on my way to losing 20 pounds, I'm going to learn how to eat better. And that process will help me to lose the 20 pounds. So I'm going to learn what foods I like, what foods I can tolerate and not tolerate or hate or like on the way to becoming a more healthy person. So there's a difference here. So we want to talk fixed mindset, growth mindset. Purposeful engagement, in my eyes, requires a growth mindset. It requires a good combination of learning goals and performance goals. So another example might be if I'm going to shoot basketball. When I was in junior high, I shot like way down here because I didn't have the strength to shoot properly. But I had to adapt because if I wanted to get better, I had to change my methods. And I had to focus on that, put forth the effort, practice, practice, practice. I practiced 4 hours a day before I became a ninth grade basketball player and started. And so I had to put all this effort into it, but I still didn't have the methodology down. So I had to learn how to shoot again as I got into high school. And so that combination really fulfilled me. Now, I was never going to play at a Division I college or in the NBA, none of those things, but I was very fulfilled and given my best effort, and I grew to the best of my capabilities through that process. So in the process of learning how to shoot better, I did not get discouraged over missing a lot of shots because I knew I was learning. I was just learning and failing in the process at making the basket, but I was growing in the process of learning the method. And then once I got the method nailed, more shots went in, and more shots went in than they ever would have with the old method. So that's the purpose of that, and that applies in any kind of field or endeavor that we undertake. So just because we are defeated, I was defeated in not making the shots at first, that doesn't equal failure to me. So there's a quote by a best-selling author named Paulo Coelho, and he says, defeat ends when we launch into another battle. So in other words, we are only defeated temporarily when we have this growth mindset, because we know it's part of the process of learning. And so we can pursue multiple paths to find purpose and purposely engage them with a growth mindset. So incorporate the growth mindset. Think of, I'm going to go through learning goals. So failure is part of that process. I do not have to be afraid to fail or ashamed to fail. I will go in knowing I am going to fail, and if I'm applying the best methodology or a good methodology, I will grow and eventually master that skill that I'm trying to achieve or acquire. And if the methodology isn't working and I'm putting forth the maximum effort, then I might want to move on to something else. In applying to academics, usually you cannot apply the same study skills in college that you did in high school. Not for most people. They have to ramp it up, intensify it, put more effort into it, and improve their methodology of study in order to get those grades in the college environment. So I just want to encourage you, whatever you're undertaking, whether it's the academics or a vocation or a job that you're performing, go in. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try new things. Look for the best methodology. Look for the best effort. Put forth the best effort that you can. And that is a growth mindset. That leads to purposeful engagement. That leads to your success and to you becoming gaining that skill or that achievement that you had set out to do. So don't ever give up pursuing your dreams. Just get new methodologies, get new techniques. Don't be afraid to fail, and keep persevering. Persevering will make a difference in that that's another way of saying purposeful engagement. So if this was helpful to you, please like it, share it, comment on it. Let me know, do you have a growth mindset, or do you kind of lean towards that fixed mindset? Maybe in different areas of your life, you are have a growth mindset. But other ones you're kind of fixed and you've kind of given up. So I'd love to share with you and interact with you on that. I've done an e-Zine article that covers this similar perspective. So I'll put that link in the text of below the video here. And so I want you to just be encouraged. You all have enormous potential and great potential to grow and learn. I am not, if you haven't discovered by now, I'm not the fixed mindset person. I believe that we are in a lifelong learning journey, and it is exciting. We can get better and better and better, and so can you. You can overcome those past failures. Maybe you didn't apply the right methodology. Maybe you didn't have the right mindset, but you can overcome those past things. So this is Dr. Dan. Know where you're going in life, become the person you were destined to be, and make a difference.